Please welcome our contestants. Player 1. Player 2. Player 3. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Johnny Gilbert, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Let's take you right now into the Jeopardy round. Clues are worth $200 to $1,000 in these categories. Animal Farm. Our Founding Fathers. Name the novel. 80s music. Ends in U. And let's visit India. Where do we begin, Player 1? It's the Daily Double. Here's a chance to break the tie. You need to select your wager. The clue. Thought to be bad luck by natives, the ii is a lemur, so it's no surprise it's only found here. Congratulations, you're still in first, Player 1. Player 1, choose again. The scaly armor that surrounds the armadillo is composed of plates made of this. It's formed by ossification. Yes, Player 1? A lot of clues, a lot of categories, Player 1. Make a selection. This Louise Fitzhugh lass spies on her classmates and writes about them in her secret notebook. Yes, Player 1? Nope. Any other takers? Let's hear it, Player 2. Good for you. Player 2, make a selection, please, as we continue. A game of hide-and-seek leads Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy into this land that's always winter and never Christmas. Okay, Player 1. That's correct. Player 1, start us. Of I did it, did you do it, or do it? It's the imperative sentence. Player 1? That's not it. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? Okay, Player 3? You got it. A lot of clues, a lot of categories, Player 3. Make us. Leroy Brown is the real name of the boy detective with this bookish nickname. Player 1? Nope. Oh! Anyone else? Player 2. No, sorry. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? Player 3? That's correct. You again, Player 3. Named for a sea god who could change shape at will, Proteus is a moon of this planet. Okay, Player 1. You are correct. A lot of clues. On its trip out of our solar system, this spacecraft discovered Puck, a moon of Uranus. Yes, Player 1? That's it. Player 1, you pick again, please. Let's get Kelly's assistance on this clue.
An ancient boat, nearly 150 feet long, was found in 1954 by archaeologists investigating the Great Pyramid on this Egyptian plateau.
Yes, Player 1? That's not it. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? It's Player 2. That is correct. All right, let's get back into this. Player 2 has control. This colorful branch of the Nile River begins at Lake Tana in Ethiopia. Let's hear it, Player 1. That's it. A lot of clues, a lot of cap. Eisenhower said, "No treaty or international agreement can contravene this document." Okay, Player 1. You are correct. Player 1, you pick again, please. Of this man's contributions to major White House decisions, Ike said, "If you give me a week, I might think of one." Player 1? No. Any other takers? We're talking about Richard Nixon. Player 1, you pick again, please. Saturn's largest moon is named this. Player 1? No, that's not right. Any other takers? Here's the correct response. Titan. You again, Player 1. 1981 drama in which Norman Thayer asks wife Ethel, "Want to dance, or would you rather just suck face?" Okay, Player 1. That's not it. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? The correct response is on Golden Pond. Select again. The name of this punctuation mark comes from a Greek word meaning piece cut off. Let's hear it, Player 1. No, sorry. Anyone else? Let's hear it, Player 3. Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
Player 3, start us. It's used in abbreviations and initials as well as to end sentences. Yes, Player 1? Yep. Player 1, make a select. Burton Braley contradicted himself and wrote, "This is a word you mustn't end a sentence with." Let's hear it, Player 1. Ooh, sorry. That's incorrect. Anyone else? The correct response is a preposition. You get to pick again, player one. It's the Daily Double. Player one, you're in last place. Please enter your wager. Answer: a center of Egypt's rice trade, this Nile Delta city lends its name to an important translating stone. Good. Player one, back to you. A mutt and a cocker spaniel slurp spaghetti and smooch in this 1955 classic. Player one? Right. We return to you, player one. 1940s classic film in which the heroine says, kiss me as if it were the last time. Okay, player one. That is correct. Player one, back to you. This type of sentence has multiple independent clauses and no dependent clauses. Player one? That's correct. Player one, back to you for our next selection. In 1902, construction was completed on the first dam on the Nile at this southern Egyptian city. Okay, player one. Nope. Oh! Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? Yes, player three. That is correct.
Yeah! Woo!
Player three, you start. This ancient Greek historian called Egypt the gift of the Nile. Player one? Good. Player one, you start us off. He said kissing Kirsten Dunst upside down in the rain was the hardest thing he's done as Spider-Man. Let's hear it, player one. Yes. You get to pick again, player one. This Kipling lad goes on a Himalayan journey with a Tibetan lama. Okay, player one. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? It's player two. Right. Player two, you're in command of the board as we continue, right? In a Francis Hodgson Burnett tale, Mary Lennox tends to the secret this. Let's hear it, player one. You are correct. Player one, you start us off. Eisenhower said appointing him to the Supreme Court was the biggest damn fool mistake I ever made. Okay, player one. Sorry, that's wrong. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? Yes, player three. Good for you. Player three, make a selection, please, as we continue. Ike telegrammed that the mission of his Allied force was fulfilled at 0241 hours local time in this month, 1945. It's player one. That is correct. Player one, start us. In To Have and Have Not, she kisses Bogart and says, "It's even better when you help." Okay, player one. No. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? Yes, player two. Right. Player two, start us. In 1957, Ike used the full power of the United States to enforce integration at Central High in this city? Let's hear it, Player One. Good. Where do we begin, Player One? The most volcanically active satellite in the solar system is Io, a moon of this planet. Let's hear it, Player One. Sorry. That's wrong. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? Here's the correct response: Jupiter. And we'll wrap up the board with this clue. Phobos, a moon of this planet, was named for a son of Ares in Greek mythology. Okay, Player One. That is correct. Okay, we have Player One in third place, which means that Player One will go first in the Double Jeopardy round. Player One, you're in last place. Let's see if you can close that gap. And I'll hand it off to Sarah.
In Spanish spelling, this mark above the N indicates that rather than una, the word should be pronounced uña.
It's Player One. Sorry, that's wrong. Anyone else? Here's the correct response: Atilda. Player One, back to you. The Radcliffe Camera, Britain's first round library, is the main reading room of this bigger library at Oxford. Yes, Player One? That is correct. Player One, pick again. In 2003, Mitch Albom had a #1 bestseller with The 5 People You Meet in Here. It's Player One. Ooh, sorry. That's incorrect. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? Here's the correct response. Heaven. You again, player one. In 1965, de Gaulle won the presidency by defeating this socialist, later France's leader from 1981 to 1995. Let's hear it, player one. One.
Hey, you're right.
Player one, choose again. Australia and New Guinea are home to the 5 species of this type of possum that may weigh as little as 1/4 of an ounce. Yes, player one? That's correct. On the plus side again. Select again. Thora Birch and Scarlett Johansson are friends who move in together after high school in this spooky film. Player one? No, that's not right. Anyone else want to hazard a guess on this? It's player three. Good for you! Player three, make a selection, please, as we continue. History diverges from this film, as the Spartans also had over 1,000 men from other Greek cities fighting at Thermopylae. Yes, player one? That is correct. Where do we begin, player one? This country's national library, the Biblioteca Nacional José Martí, was financed by a tax on sugar. It's player one. Yes, you've got some money again. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Answer, the first of the daily doubles. Player one, you're in last place, but here's an opportunity to catch. Player one, the clue. This Shakespeare library, named for this Standard Oil man, is run by Amherst College. No, sorry. Here's what we wanted. Henry Folger. You get to pick again, player one. In 2007, his book, The Road, earned him a Pulitzer Prize and entry into Oprah's book club. Let's hear it, player one. Good for you. Good. Back on the plus side. Select again. De Gaulle's June 18, 1940 broadcast in this city asking for France's leadership led to a death sentence in a French court. It's player one. Oh! Any other takers? Player two. Yeah, good. Player two, you start. De Gaulle wanted a small, mobile army versus static theories like this defensive line named for a minister of war. Let's hear it, player one. No. Any other takers? Here's the correct response. The Maginot Line. Player two, back to you. Charles de Gaulle fought in this February to July 1916 battle in which the Germans did not pass. It's player one. Yes, great, you're back into it now. Player one, start us. Like wombats and bandicoots, possums are members of this group of about 270 species. Let's hear it, player one. Correct. Select again. In 1925, de Gaulle was promoted to the staff of the Supreme War Council by this marshal. Okay, player one. Anyone else? Player three? That's correct. Player three, make a selection, please, as we continue. Chuck Berry knows this sweet little number of days is the typical gestation period of a possum. Let's hear it, player one. No, that's not right. Anyone else? Player three? No. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? Okay, player two. Yes. Okay, let's get back into this. Player two, you make the next selection as we... The Hector Hodler Library in Rotterdam, which is devoted to this artificial language, has over 15,000 books. It's player one. Right. Player one, where do we start? Sadly, 1994's The Crow, about a man who comes back from the dead, was the last for this star. Okay, player one. Yes, great, you're back into it now. Player one, pick again. Whether after Cuba or not, it simply means free. Let's hear it, player one. Sorry, that's wrong. Anyone else? Here's what we were looking for. Libre. Player one, back to you. This can mean taste or flavor. Con mucho this means with great pleasure. Okay, player one. No. Anyone else? The correct response is gusto. Player one, pick again. As well as manly or virile, this word can mean sledgehammer. Let's hear it, player one. Good for you. Player 1. The Bureau of Land Management can help you adopt one of these wild donkeys. Player 1. Correct. You get to pick again, Player 1. The flying possum doesn't fly. Well-developed flaps of skin along its flanks have it known by this 6-letter term. It's Player 1. Correct. And you're back into some money. Select again. James Michener's Centennial centers on a fictional town in this state. Yes, Player 1? That's correct. We return to you, Player 1. Answer. The other daily double. Player 1, you're in last place, but here's an opportunity to catch. How much? And the daily double clue. Tom Hanks takes his son on a violent mission of retribution against a gangster boss in this film. Sorry, that's wrong. Here's what we wanted. Road to Perdition. You get to pick again, Player 1. When his presidential library was dedicated in 1991, 4 former presidents were in attendance. Player 1? Ooh, sorry. That's incorrect. Anyone else care to try to come up with a correct response? The correct response is Ronald Reagan. Player 1. Pick again. Stick to it. In 1948, this Walt Kelly possum hit the funny pages. Player 1? Yeah! Right you are. Player 1, choose again. In Willa Cather